So one of the wonderful things about doing this job is you never know from day to day what's going to come in next. And yesterday this arrived, which is a very unusual set. I've never really seen quite the like of it before. What you see before you initially is a sort of a cardboard box which has a scene of a fort being stormed by various soldiers. I had a look into the uniforms of these people yesterday, and it turns out they are actually French infantry of the line from around sort of 1880, which in itself doesn't make it particularly unusual. It's a set of soldiers in a diorama. What does set it out from other toy sets is this. This I have not seen anything the like of before. It is a very early toy multi-barreled machine gun, to not put too fine a point on it. Similar items were actually used in reality by the French army at about this period, not quite of this pattern, but of similar design. And how this thing works is it has a little gun carriage seat at the top here, which opens up, which will be filled with lead shot, shotgun shot, and then once closed, you then point the gun towards your infantry, the enemy. I'll do it this way around, and crank the handle, which pulls these plungers back in turn along the barrels, causing the lead shot fire out the end, and essentially you machine gun the infantry. So one of these figures are very interesting in many ways. I mean, the uniforms they're wearing, as I said, the French infantry of the line of the late 19th century, they are remarkably accurate for such a toy set, down to the red trousers which the French infantry wore until the start of World War I, when it was realised that they were not really such a good idea. So the uniforms are very accurate. However, the rifles they're holding, for various manufacturing reasons, I presume, have been made very short and are actually more of a carbine length, which is associated with the cavalry. And if you look closely at one of the figures, they have a correct length bayonet, which would look completely incongruous when attached to the rifle they're actually holding. It's presumed that this set was made in Germany. It's probably a very early example of the plate lithography which was used to colour tin, so you see it being printed rather than painted. And if you look at the machine gun, what we have here, this is actually hand painted rather than lithographed, which is much more typical of the period. As was fairly typical of items of the day, the manufacturer's name is not mentioned anywhere, nor indeed is the country of origin. Instead, what we have is the box is marked, in fact stamped, both on the lid and indeed on the diorama you see here. They are actually J. Robinsons of Regent Street in London, who were, believe it or not, opticians, and obviously sold toys as a bit of a sideline. It's not a company I've ever come across before. I'm not familiar with them having retail toys. Obviously in this day you would be looking more at the sort of the Gamages and the Hamleys selling this type of thing in London. But obviously opticians did too. They often sold scientific instruments, but this is obviously something of a divergence from that. So this fascinating toy and many others will be appearing in the next Toys and Sporting Sale, which will be held at Leyburn on the 11th of April.